Pond Corner. I'm Tina Howard, and I'm going to show you how I make prickly pear cactus jelly. I've picked my prickly pear fruit. These are what grows on the green pads. You know they're ripe when the fruit is red all the way down to the very end of it, down to the bottom right next to the pad. I'm not touching this with my hands because in addition to the big old long ugly spines that are easy to see, every one of those little white polka dots, that's not dotted Swiss, people. That is full of cactus spines. So they're all over it, and they're little tiny hair-like microscopic things that are too small to even get out with tweezers, so you don't want to get those on you. So I use tongs to pick them with when they're ripe, but you can just twist them off, and then I'm going to take them out now and singe them over an open flame. I'm going to use our barbecue grill, but if you have a gas stove in the house, you can do that. So I'm going to singe the whole thing and get rid of all the spines, and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I've charred the spines and the little tiny hair-like stickers off of all of my prickly pear cactus pears. You'll also see these described as tunas, T-U-N-A, and that's another one of the Indian words for them. I've cut up most of them, but I'm going to show you how I cut them up to make my juice out of them. Pan here. All I do with them to get juice in, because I don't use the meat of them, I just cut them in quarters and put them in my pan. You can see the magenta color of this fruit. It's just gorgeous color, and the jelly will be that color too. Now, if you wanted to use the flesh, I'll show you real quick how you could peel it and use it. I still don't ever touch these. I continue to hold them with tongs or with a fork the whole time that I'm working with them. I'm just a baby that way, I guess. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't want to get stickers in them. These are perfectly edible, raw, and they are, prickly pear cactus is great survival food if you ever needed it. The pears are good to eat as long as they're on the plant. They don't ever spoil or go bad, although they will get bugs in them. And usually they don't stay on there very long because animals love them. They're never going to be worth leaning over a plant to get them, though. Just imagine being in a desperate situation and falling into a cactus. You don't want to do that. So you saw how I peeled that. And if you wanted to just eat this, you can just, it's got seeds inside of it, but they're very tiny, and you could spit them out. But it's perfectly edible, just like that, just right off the vine. And they have a very mild flavor. They're not sour, they're not really sweet. It's pretty bland flavor. Probably get away with just cutting these in halves, but I cut them into quarters, just the way I've always done it. Seeds from eating that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill my cover them with water in my pan and put them on the side. I covered my cut up prickly pears with water, and I have simmered them now for about 40 minutes. I simmer them until they look right. This is one of those things what you wanted to do is extract the juice, but you also want to extract the color out of them. So let me just show you really quick how pale the fruit will get. See how pale that looks compared to what it looked. See how pale that looks compared to how it was when I put it in there. I've extracted a lot of the color. That's how I tell it. Now then, I'm not going to use this all at once, so I'm going to store it temporarily in I like to use vinegar bottles for this. They're food safe. They're food safe. They're strong enough to stand up to what I need. Plus, they had vinegar in them, so they're super, super clean. What I'll do is I'll put this in the refrigerator then, and what that I don't use tonight, and then I'll have it. I can also freeze it. This liquid freezes very well, and will store until you're ready to make another batch of jelly a little bit later. I'm going to drop, don't need that one, use this one. Drop my funnel down here into the, and then just pour it off. All of the seeds are really heavy in this, and the fruit's heavy, so it just stays down at the bottom of the pan. Okay, I'm back. I've got my juice prepared. I'm going to sell this product. Like I mentioned in another video, I have a small cottage foods business, and we're allowed to sell certain products that we make in our home kitchens. When I'm making anything to sell, I cover my hair to be sure that I don't get a hair in it. Nobody wants that, no matter how blonde it is. For my prickly pear cactus jelly, I use Sure Gel powdered pectin. If you are going to make your own pectin or use some other brand, you are probably going to need to add lemon juice. Sure Gel has citric acid in it, and so that adds the necessary acid. These cactuses are not very acidic, and so you cannot can them without adding acid to them. I used the recipe for grape jelly. So I used 5 cups of prepared juice and 7 cups of sugar. I use cane sugar. I don't want beet sugar, and being from Texas, we use imperial sugar, imperial pure cane sugar. There are about 8 cups of sugar, 8.5 really, in a bag of sugar. This is a 4-pound bag. 2, 3, and a little bit. 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm not Justin Wilson, but you can see for yourself there's about 1.5 cups left in the sack. All right, you put your sugar pre-measured all in a bowl, because you're going to pour it all at once into your liquid, and you don't double batches, especially with this particular fruit. You need to make one small batch at a time. So if you're using a 4-pound bag of imperial pure cane sugar, you can take 1.5 cups of it out of the bag, and you can just leave it in the bag and pour it in that way. I've measured it up though. I find it helps if you have some kind of a bowl that's easy to pour in, or one that's got a handle on it so that it's easy for you to hold on to. All right, I've done all of my prep work in advance. My jars are all sterile. I use only new jars and lids for anything that I'm going to sell. So these were all new jars, but I've also sterilized them. I've got my brand new lids in hot water. It's not boiling. You don't need to boil your lids, but you do need them in hot water. I'm going to measure out my juice into, you want a very deep pan to use for this, and so this pot is just perfect. I'm going to measure out 5 cups of juice. It's still pretty hot. 2, there's 4, 5. Your juice does not have to be hot. I just didn't want to wait for it to cool off before I finish this batch of jelly. So there's 5 cups of juice. sure gel, you mix your powdered pectin, your powdered sure gel into your juice. You're not adding your sugar yet. You hold on to your sugar. You mix the sure gel in. Stir it with a metal spoon. I'm using dishcloths that I can bleach because I'm going to spill jelly juice all over them. I turn my heat on high because I need to bring this juice to a full rolling boil that cannot be stirred down. So you want it to be boiling like crazy, and the more you stir it, it doesn't stop boiling. You don't want to walk away when you have your juice on high heat like this. You don't need to stir the juice itself constantly while it's heating, but you will need to once you add your sugar in. Okay. My fruit juice is boiling now, and it's a hard rolling boil that I can't boil down. So now I'm going to add my sugar all at once. Just pour it right in there, and I'm going to bring it back to the same kind of a hard rolling boil that can't be stirred down. I managed to spill a little sugar on the stove, even despite the lip on my bowl. I don't want that to melt on there, and I don't want to drag it off. I'm also going to add, not enough to even show up in there, I'm going to add a tiny little bit, literally a quarter teaspoon of butter. That little dab of oil will stop the jelly from foaming up, help reduce the foam in it. Once it starts boiling really hard, the pectin in there and the sugars and all of that will trap water in there. That's where that foam comes from. But between adding this little dab of butter and after we've finished cooking it, we're going to cook and stir it for a little while, so hopefully we won't have to skim any of the foam off the top. If necessary, you can use a metal spoon. After it's done, skim that off and put it into a bowl or something, and then your family can enjoy that as their first taste of the jelly while you're waiting for the jars to seal and finish up. I said earlier that I don't normally use the pulp of the prickly pear fruits for anything, but I think this year I'm going to try making some candied prickly pear. I have a dehydrator that I can use for it. So check back a little bit later and look for a new video on how to make a prickly pear cactus candy. You need to stir constantly while this is returning to a boil, and it may take it 2 or 3 minutes.
Now.
All right, my jelly is boiling very hard. It's coming all the way up to the near the top of the pan, so I've turned the fire down just a little bit, but it's still boiling hard. Need to boil it hard for 1 minute, and like I said, it is foaming up big. It'll come way up when it's doing the right thing. Don't walk away for an instant. Keep stirring constantly during this time. You need at least 1 minute. It won't hurt to give it 2 minutes of that hard rolling boil. I love the timer on my stove because it makes it so easy to just hit that timer and fire back up since it's boiling down a little bit out here. Makes it so easy to time things so without having to watch a clock or something. I can just hit that timer, and then it's like a baby. It won't stop buzzing at me when it's done. water bath heating there. You can work on one side of the stove, and then once it's done, move it over to the other side of the stove in order to fill your jars. I find it just as simple to just keep working here, and I'll scoot it over a little bit. I like to keep stirring it and let it cool a bit. I've found that works very well. Just stir it after I've turned the fire off for a minute or two, and it just takes that foam right out. It's just perfect now. It doesn't have hardly any foam on the top of it, so that's perfect. That's good. I'm going to test a little dab of it here. I'm going to drop just a little bit here in a glass, and kind of let it cool a little. See how thick it is. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's still pretty liquidy. Maybe I ought to cook it a little bit longer. One thing about this jelly is it is a little bit difficult to get it to set up, and sometimes you might have to, it might take it a couple of days to set. My personal preference for prickly pear jelly is to use it as syrup on pancakes. I think it is I don't normally like a fruit flavored syrup, but this one I like it a lot. I love it on pancakes. So to me, it's not a failure if it stays syrup. But when people are buying it, they want it to be gelled. And if you're making syrup, you still need pectin in it because that helps to preserve it. So you still need to do your same process. Get that up to boiling again. I'll give it another minute or two. Rinse my little bowl out there and let it, I've got my water bath canner heating. There was a time when we didn't have to process jelly after it was jarred up. You could even seal it with paraffin. Now they say that to be safe, we need to process it in our boiling water bath canner, and I'll do this one for 10 minutes. And it doesn't hurt a thing to do it. It doesn't take but just a couple more minutes in time, and it's perfectly safe, and everybody's happy that way. Why not do it the safe way if you can? You know, it's our health that we're talking about. The reason that we're making all these good foods for ourselves instead of going to the grocery store and buying it out of some factory from somewhere else is because of our health. So we need to pay as much attention to our processing methods as we do to how safely we grow our food and how safely we choose it. So that's my little chat for today. Okay, now it's up to. I'm gonna let it cook another minute here. This is a nice, this jelly sells really well for me. People love it as a souvenir. Lots of people remember that their mom used to make it. It's a big part of life in the Southwest. As far as I know, the Opuntia genus, which is prickly pear cactus, are a member of, is just about the same anywhere you go. The leaves may look a little bit different, the fruits may look a little bit different, but they're all, as far as I know, they're all edible. The pads of this same cactus, when they're young in the spring, are also edible, and they can be cooked up and put into various dishes. You can do them up, scramble them up with scrambled eggs, scramble them up with meat. Okay, all right. Now let's see if that made a difference here. Dry that out so I don't dilute it with some water. It certainly wouldn't gel then. See that pretty color? It's so beautiful in the jars. have best control with my good old metal 1 cup measure. And I set my jars up right here. I set them on a dish towel. You could use paper towels under it. And I want to leave about 1 inch of headroom in each jar. Cannon funnel costs hardly anything, and it's one gadget that's almost essential. If you don't have one, spend the $3 and buy you one. If you need to make one, take find a way to do that. But you can buy these at Walmart right now. You can order them online, and a cannon funnel will make a world of difference. You don't lose jelly down the sides of your jars. It's also good for filling other wide mouth jars with stuff. Each of these is a 1/2 pint jar, holds about 1.5 cups of jelly, maybe 1.25 cups. These just look like jewels when they're all lined up. In the morning I'm going to come in here and the sun will be shining through the window, and it'll shine through them, and they'll just look like stained glass in there. I think I'm going to get 10 jars out of this. It's perfect. 5 pints or 10 1/2 pints. The 1/2 pint jars in this particular jelly are really good because people enjoy it, like I said, as a souvenir. So it's not necessarily something that they want to take on a giant economy size jar for. Left, and I'll do that little 1/2 cup that I've got left. I'm just pouring it up here into these other jars. Okay. Set that into my sink. Set that there. Now then, I only use paper towels for wiping my lids off. That way I can throw them away. I know they're completely spick and span every time I use them. Going to wipe off the top. All you have to wipe off really is the very top edge of the jar, because any that's spilt down the side isn't going to hurt the seal, but that top edge is what needs the seal. Oops. I've never had one of these, and so I finally broke down and spent $3 and bought myself one of these little magnetic lid picker-uppers, and it's really nice. All these years I've used a fork or used a tongs or something and fiddled around with these lids, and this little gadget is really dandy. I don't use a whole lot of specialized gadgets, but there are some things that are handy, and this is one of those. This is my new one. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to put my lids on the jars, and then I'm going to put them all down in my water bath canner and process them for 10 minutes. Good morning. It's now the following day, and I processed my jelly jars in the water bath canner for 10 minutes. took them out, put them on a towel, and let them sit undisturbed all night long. Got up this morning to these beautiful, beautiful jars. They'll set a little bit more as they as time goes on, but they've gelled very, very nicely. And now I'm going to put my labels on them, and then Paul and I are going to have some for our breakfast. I put labels on these because I sell them at the farmer's market, and our Texas state law requires certain things be put on a label. We don't have to list all of the ingredients. We do have to list any allergens. These don't contain any allergens, but I do go ahead and say that they are made with prickly pears, cane sugar, and pectin. We also have to state that they're made in a kitchen that is a home kitchen that's not inspected. So these are that's how I label them. I just print my labels on the computer and make copies of the ones that I need. Morning. Okay, here we go. I'm going to open my jelly now. And Paul and I are going to have some on buttered toast. Oh, hear that pop? That seal came out. Got a spoon here. Right. Spoon some onto our toast. Spread it out. Oh, how pretty that is. And it tastes so good. All right. Here you go, Paul. Come and have a taste.
That's good. Good batch.
Good jelly. Enjoy. Thanks for coming by to see us at Pecan Corner.